Imagine you just wrote a 5-page essay. You worked on it for 20 minutes, you were proud of it. Someone walks up to you, looks you in the eyes, and asks, "What was your main argument?" And you can't remember. That's not a made-up scenario. That actually happened to 83% of participants in a study out of MIT's Media Lab. Real students, real essays, complete memory blackout, and the one thing they all had in common. They used AI to write it. Welcome. Today we're going deep, I mean really deep, into one of the most important questions of our generation. Does using artificial intelligence actually make us dumber? We're not going to skim the surface here. We're talking brain scans, EEG headsets, 4 months of controlled experiments, studies from MIT, Harvard, Microsoft, and Wharton. And by the end of this video, you're going to walk away knowing something that most people scrolling through their phones right now have no idea about. And more importantly, you're going to know exactly what to do about it. So let's start at the very beginning. What does it actually mean to think? Here's something most people don't appreciate about the human brain. It is, without question, the most complex object in the known universe. 3 pounds of biological matter, about 86 billion neurons, and somewhere between 100 trillion to 1 quadrillion synaptic connections. When you think, really think, dozens of regions light up simultaneously. You're not just using one part of your brain, you're running a symphony. Now, neuroscientists have a concept called neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to literally rewire itself based on what you do repeatedly. Here's the famous principle: neurons that fire together wire together. The more you practice a skill, writing, reasoning, problem solving, the stronger those neural pathways become. Think of it like a hiking trail. Every time you walk it, the path gets clearer, wider, easier to navigate. But what happens when you stop walking the trail? It gets overgrown, the connections weaken, the skill fades. Neuroscientists call this use it or lose it. And this isn't a theory, this is textbook, peer-reviewed neuroscience. Your brain physically changes based on what you use it for. Now hold that thought, because it's the foundation of everything we're about to talk about. There's also a concept called cognitive load. This is basically how much mental effort your working memory is using at any given time. When you're solving a hard problem, writing an essay, doing complex math, crafting an argument, your cognitive load is high. Your brain is working hard, and here's the key insight: that difficulty, that struggle, that's actually what learning looks like. Scientists call it desirable difficulty. The strain is the gain. Now enter AI. What if you could just hand that cognitive load off to a machine? This is where it gets interesting and slightly terrifying. In 2025, researchers at MIT's Media Lab published a study that sent shockwaves through the academic world. The paper was called "Your Brain on ChatGPT: Accumulation of Cognitive Debt When Using an AI Assistant for Essay Writing." Let's break down exactly what they did, because the methodology is fascinating. They recruited 54 students from 5 different universities across the Boston area. These weren't just anyone. They were diverse, they were screened, and they were fitted with EEG headsets. EEG stands for electroencephalography. It's a technology that measures your brain's electrical activity across dozens of regions simultaneously. These headsets were tracking their neural activity in real time as they wrote. The students were split into 3 groups. Group 1 was the ChatGPT group. They had to use ChatGPT to help write their essays. Group 2 was the search engine group. They could use Google and other regular search tools, but no AI. Group 3 was the brain-only group. Nothing, no internet, no AI, just their own minds. Then, over the course of 4 months, each group wrote essays under those same conditions. 1 essay a month, while the EEG headsets tracked every flicker of neural activity. The results were not what anyone expected. The ChatGPT group, the ones using AI, showed the lowest brainwave activity across all 32 measured brain regions. Systematically lower, not by a little, significantly lower than both the Google group and the group writing with nothing at all. As the months went on, it didn't improve, it got worse. Their cognitive engagement was declining with every session. The group that just used Google for research was in the middle. More brain activity than the AI group, less than the no-tech group. But the real eye-opener was the brain-only group. They showed the highest neural connectivity, the most cognitive engagement. They were working the hardest, and their brains were getting stronger because of it. But here's the part that really got people talking. When it came to memory retention, meaning Could they actually remember and recall what they wrote? 83% of students in the ChatGPT group couldn't recall key points from their own essays. Not because they were lazy, not because they didn't care, but because their brains had essentially stepped out of the room while AI did the thinking. The researchers called it cognitive debt. You're borrowing brain power from a machine, but you're paying interest. Every time you outsource your thinking, you're withdrawing from your own cognitive savings account. And MIT's data showed that account was running dangerously low. But wait, it gets even more alarming. In a fourth session, the researchers did something brilliant. They switched the groups. The ChatGPT group now had to write brain-only. The brain-only group got to use ChatGPT for the first time. And what happened? The former ChatGPT users couldn't catch up. Even without AI now, their brains didn't spring back. Their neural connectivity was still lagging behind. Meanwhile, the group that had been doing the hard work the whole time, when they got access to ChatGPT, their performance actually improved. They used AI as a tool, not a replacement, because they still had their cognitive foundations intact. They were centaurs, half human, half machine, rather than passengers in a self-driving car. The conclusion from MIT was sobering. The use of AI had a measurable impact on participants, and while the benefits were initially apparent, over the course of 4 months, the AI group performed worse than their counterparts at all levels: neural, linguistic, and scoring. That's not just a memory problem, that's a fundamental cognitive problem. Now, before we go further, I want to introduce you to a concept that explains exactly what's happening here. It's called cognitive offloading. And this is not a new phenomenon. We've been doing it for thousands of years. When humans started writing things down, we were offloading memory storage to external tools. When calculators arrived, we offloaded arithmetic. When GPS was invented, we offloaded navigation. And each time, researchers noticed something. The skill we outsourced began to weaken. Studies showed that people who always use GPS have worse spatial memory and navigational ability than those who read maps. People who always use calculators are slower at mental math. This became known as the Google effect. The idea that simply knowing information is available online makes us less likely to retain it. But here's what makes AI categorically different from everything that came before it. Calculators offloaded computation, GPS offloaded navigation, writing offloaded memory storage. But AI offloads reasoning itself. Synthesis, analysis, argumentation, creativity, these aren't peripheral cognitive skills. They're the core of what makes human intelligence valuable. A 2025 study published in the journal Societies surveyed 666 participants across different age groups. They measured AI usage, cognitive offloading habits, and critical thinking abilities using standardized assessments. The findings? A strong negative correlation. The more AI someone used, the lower they scored on critical thinking. The correlation coefficient was negative 0.68. In social science research, that's considered a very strong relationship. And critically, the effect was most pronounced in younger users. People between 17 and 25 showed the highest AI dependency and the lowest critical thinking scores. Which makes sense, right? These are the years when your brain is still developing the neural pathways that support complex reasoning. If you outsource that development to a machine during the critical window, those pathways may never fully form. And it doesn't stop with students. It's happening to professionals too. Researchers at Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon University surveyed 319 knowledge workers, people whose jobs involve handling complex information and decisions. Things like writing, analysis, strategy, coding. The result that stood out most? Higher confidence in AI was directly associated with less critical thinking. The workers who trusted AI the most checked it the least. They accepted outputs without questioning them. They stopped engaging with the material at a deep level. The researchers put it this way: by leaning on AI, workers lose the muscle memory they've developed from completing tasks on their own. They start outsourcing not just the work, but their critical engagement with it. And here's the painful irony. The researchers warned that if you're worried about being replaced by AI and you're using it uncritically for your work, you may just create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now let's zoom out from academic research and into the real world. Because this isn't just about test scores on essay writing tasks. The implications extend to every profession where human judgment matters. And in some fields, the stakes are life and death. A study referenced in the Lancet Gastroenterology, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, found something deeply troubling. Endoscopists, doctors who perform colonoscopies to detect potentially cancerous polyps, were given AI assistance for their work. The AI would flag suspicious areas on the screen, and the doctor's performance improved while using it. Great, right? But then the AI was removed. After just 3 months of working with AI assistants, when the doctors had to rely on their own eyes and judgment again, their performance had actually gotten worse compared to before. The AI had slowly eroded their own pattern recognition. The skills that take years of training to develop had quietly begun to atrophy. Think about what that means. A junior doctor who trains from day one with AI assistance may never develop the deep diagnostic intuition that distinguishes a master physician. The AI becomes a ceiling, not a ladder, and this pattern repeats across fields. In finance, traders who rely on algorithmic AI recommendations show diminished independent risk assessment. In law, lawyers who use AI for document drafting show reduced depth of legal argumentation. In education, the data is frankly alarming. A 2025 survey found that 92% of UK university students now use AI, up from 66% just 1 year earlier. 88% admitted to using AI for actual assessments, and only 36% had received any training from their institution on how to use AI responsibly. We're raising an entire generation to work with AI before they've ever learned to work without it. Harvard's faculty sat down to discuss this directly. One professor put it plainly: if AI is doing your thinking for you, whether through autocomplete or letting AI write the first draft and then you edit it, that is actively undercutting your critical thinking and your creativity. She gave an example that hit hard. You use AI to write a job application letter. It's polished, it's well-structured, but so is everyone else's because they also used AI. You may lose the job as a result. And in the process, you've also lost the practice of articulating your own value in your own voice. 2 losses for the price of 1. Now, there's a brand new phenomenon that researchers have just started naming in 2026. It's called AI brain fry. And if you've ever spent a long day managing AI tools, prompting them, reviewing outputs, editing responses, chasing down hallucinations, you may have already experienced it without knowing the name. Participants in a recent study described a buzzing feeling: mental fog, difficulty focusing, slower decision-making, headaches. Researchers define AI brain fry as mental fatigue resulting from excessive engagement with AI systems. Not because the work is intellectually hard, but because it's cognitively exhausting in a very specific way. You're constantly in this in-between state, not thinking fully yourself, not letting AI handle it fully. Stuck in this anxious middle ground of supervision and second-guessing. One programmer described watching an AI coding agent work at blistering speed and feeling a palpable sense of stress. The AI was moving too fast for him to actually comprehend what it was doing. He was technically in charge, but cognitively he was just a passenger experiencing motion sickness. And this matters. Because if AI usage is causing cognitive fatigue on top of cognitive decline, if it's simultaneously making us think less and making us more tired, that's a compounding crisis. The productivity gains AI promises could be completely wiped out by the cognitive cost of managing it. But I promised you a balanced view, so let's talk about the other side. Here's the thing, and this is crucial: the MIT researchers did not conclude that people should stop using AI. Not even close. What they concluded is that how you use AI is everything. The tool itself is neutral. What matters is whether you're the driver or the passenger. A study from Wharton, one of the world's top business schools, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, looked at how AI affected student learning in a math tutoring context. And they found something fascinating. When students used AI in a way that gave them hints and guided their reasoning, rather than just handing them the answers, the negative cognitive effects disappeared completely. The students actually learned more. Their problem-solving skills improved. The difference was whether the AI was scaffolding their thinking or replacing it. An AI that says here's the answer destroys learning. An AI that says you're on the right track, what happens if you try this next step, enhances it. Same tool, completely different neurological outcome. Remember the MIT study. When the brain-only group was finally given access to ChatGPT in session 4, something interesting happened. Their performance actually benefited more from AI than the group that had been using it all along. Because they had their cognitive foundations intact. They knew what good thinking looked like. They could use AI to extend their thinking rather than replace it. Princeton neuroscientists published research in late 2025 identifying what they call cognitive Legos, modular building blocks that the human brain reuses and recombines to solve new problems. This is why humans can learn quickly and flexibly in ways that AI still cannot. But here's the key. You have to actually use those cognitive Lego blocks to keep them sharp. If you stop building, the blocks gather dust. And there's even evidence that moderate, intentional AI use can serve as a cognitive supplement, like a gym spotter, someone who's there to help you when you fail, but who doesn't do the reps for you. AI as a thinking partner, a devil's advocate, a research assistant that brings you sources to evaluate, that's a very different relationship than AI as a ghostwriter. All right, so now you know the danger, and you know the upside. Let's talk about exactly what to do. Because the answer is not to throw your laptop in the ocean and go live in the woods. The answer is to become intentional, strategic, to be the kind of person who uses AI to become more capable, not less. Rule number 1, draft first, AI second. Before you ask AI to write anything, draft your own thoughts first, even if it's rough, even if it's just bullet points. The act of trying, of wrestling with your own ideas before outsourcing them, is what keeps your neural pathways firing. Think of it like stretching before a workout. You wouldn't skip the warm-up. Don't skip the thinking. Rule number 2, use AI as a sparring partner, not a ghostwriter. Instead of asking AI to write your essay, ask it to challenge your argument. Ask it what you're missing. Ask it to steelman the opposing view. This keeps you in the cognitive driver's seat. You're evaluating, judging, synthesizing. Your brain is fully in the game. AI is just throwing punches for you to duck. Rule number 3, recall test yourself. After any AI-assisted task, close the window. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Then write down from memory what the key points were, what the main argument was, what you actually learned. This is called retrieval practice, and it's one of the most scientifically validated ways to strengthen memory. If you can't recall it, you didn't really learn it, you just borrowed it. Rule number 4, take AI-free days. Just like your muscles need rest days, your brain needs to work on its own. Pick 1 or 2 days a week where you draft, write, think, and problem solve without AI assistance, not to be a purist, but to keep your cognitive muscles from atrophying. This is what the research calls cognitive hygiene. Rule number 5, be suspicious of confidence. The Microsoft study found that the more you trust AI, the less you think critically. So build in friction on purpose. Every time AI gives you an answer, ask yourself, how do I know this is right? What would I check? What's the source? Make skepticism a habit, not an afterthought. Rule number 6, and this is the big picture one, invest in your irreplaceable skills. AI can write, AI can code, AI can analyze, but AI cannot have your specific life experiences, your emotional intelligence, your ethical judgment, your creative intuition that comes from thousands of hours of human experience. These are the things that make you irreplaceable. Nurture them, practice them, don't let them atrophy while you chase efficiency. So, does AI make you dumber? Here's my honest answer after going through all the research. It depends entirely on you. AI is the most powerful cognitive tool ever created. And like every powerful tool in history, fire, the printing press, the internet, it can build civilization or burn it down, depending on who's holding it and how. If you use AI as a replacement for thinking, the evidence is clear. Your brain will pay the price, quietly, gradually, until one day you're staring at an essay you supposedly wrote and you have no idea what you said. But if you use AI as an extension of your thinking, a tool that you wield, not one that wields you, the evidence is equally clear. You can be more capable, more creative, and more effective than any human in history has ever been. The question is not whether to use AI. That ship has sailed. The question is what kind of relationship you're going to have with it. Are you the pilot or are you the luggage? That question is worth sitting with. Actually sitting with without asking an AI for the answer. If this video made you think, genuinely think, please share it. Not because the algorithm needs it, but because there are people in your life who are handing their minds over to machines right now without knowing what the research says. Maybe this helps them make a different choice. Drop a comment below. Did this change how you think about AI? Or do you think I got something wrong? I want to hear your actual thoughts, not ChatGPT's. I'll see you in the next one. Drop a comment below.